live from Palm Beach, Florida, and there is the hotel that was the scene of the horrible events of last Saturday night. Well, today, a lot of it was taken up with the visit, the royal visit, the first as king that Charles III made to Washington. I thought he said, did he say it was his 20th or his 40th visit to America? Well, you know, he visited a lot when he was the prince, and does have a special regard for America. But I really do think it comes from the left-wing side. And with the exception of Elizabeth, who had a great fondness for Reagan and Trump, by and large, the English people sort of veer more toward the Democrats. And right now they're real angry at Trump because Trump is being honest with them. They're no longer a great power. Their military is decimated. Their navy is a fragment of what it used to be. Their spirit to defend themselves, which was ignited a whole world, seems to be gone under Keir Starmer, who is a socialist, maybe a communist, but certainly a socialist, and certainly a coward. And this promised to be hopefully a revival of our special relationship. Now, it would be hard to have revived it because the ambassador from the UK, Sir Christian Turner, stated in leak comments that the American true special relationship is with Israel. He's right, but to have him say it in leak comments in February, special relationship with the United States is probably Israel, not the United States. It was February 2026 remarks to UK students in Washington, D.C., first reported in the Financial Times. I think there is probably one country that has a special relationship with the United States, and that is probably Israel. He described the traditional relationship, a term coined by Winston Churchill, as quite nostalgic. It's quite backwards looking, and it has a lot of baggage to it. Well, I don't know. Maybe the king should get a new ambassador, because the king must have said special relationships so often today that you could repeat it with him. But I don't know how special the relationship is. It seems like very much a one-sided one. They want a lot from us, but they won't give us what we need. And did you notice he came here because there is a great deal of consternation because his left-wing socialist guy who appoints all kinds of Epstein people to his cabinet doesn't check them, and also has a left wing. I mean, he's probably not him, but he's got a left wing that would fit really nicely, you know, in the Chinese Politburo. So he was going to come and kind of fix things up for Starmer. Well, I don't know how he could have fixed things up, but in that entire speech, he never mentioned the most important issue: Iran, the war in Iran, their failure to support us, the war in Israel, the Islamic extremist threat to Western civilization. He did mention September 11th, but as if it was in a vacuum. It just happened. September 11th was of a whole connection with what's going on in Iran now. It's the assertion of Islamic domination, assertion of what Orthodox Muslims believe and are taught by Muhammad in the Quran, that they should control the world and that it is justifiable for them to kill in pursuance of that. Much like the Democrats taught Cole Allen that it was justifiable for him to kill because Trump was a rapist and a traitor and a murderer. Rapists, traitors, and murderers start to get you to the level where people start thinking, well, what's the right thing to do? How many people condemn a father if he kills someone who brutally rapes his daughter? I mean, he shouldn't do it. It's against the law. He probably should be prosecuted. But there's a certain empathy for him, right? So now if you take someone who isn't morally structured that strongly, we now know that this works. We've seen it. We've seen it over and over again. These people write these manifestos like the trans people, 3 of them in the last 2 years. And they're pushed by all of this left-wing insanity about trans, which is all part of trying to destroy our culture and our civilization. And here is one of the strongest figures in Western civilization, the King of England, and he can't say a word about the war in the West. Those are our common values, King. Not helping, not helping Ukraine. Helping Ukraine comes out of those common values, but only one of them. To help Ukraine, but to let Iran become a nuclear power would be insane. The risk to us is much, much greater with a nuclear Iran than with whatever happens in Ukraine. Although I very much would like to see Putin defeated in Ukraine, like you do. But as part of a whole, Putin conducts war on Western civilization, on Western values, on Judeo-Christian values. My goodness, I mean, you're the head of the Church of England. You didn't sound like that. You sounded like a bloody old atheist. I mean, that was a great speech for the Democrats in Congress. They were cheering like hell. But they are functional atheists. They've pretty much driven God out of the country. You come to us and give us an Easter message, but you didn't give it to your people. You gave them a Ramadan message, but it sounds like you were afraid to give them an Easter message. Were you afraid to mention Iran today? Were you afraid to mention the problems you're having with Islamic law attempting in various parts of England to supersede English common law? You won't tell us anything about the status of that or how that's a common issue that we face. I mean, we're not as far along as you are, but we're getting pretty far along in Deerfield, even in Texas. Maybe you could have given us some words of advice on that and some strength on that. Or will you give us the Keir Starmer weakness on it? But that's what you gave us. I know you want to reserve it for private conversations, I think. But this is a very transparent administration. And private conversations don't go very far to restore the morale of people, like the people in Iran who are starting to wonder, are they getting double-crossed? So I wonder if this ambassador should be removed, Ted. I mean, the king premised his whole speech on reestablishing our special relationship. He made very little progress in doing it because he didn't touch on the things that are destroying our special relationship. Their unwillingness to help their ally, who has helped them a lot more than they help us, who has lost a lot more lives helping them than they have lost helping us. And when we went to them for help, they said no. And now they'll only help us under very, very limited circumstances, like if we win, or if it's a defensive action, not an offensive action. What do they want? A nuclear Iran? No, not really. Here's what they want. They want oil cheap, and they want the Muslims to vote for them. That's what they want. And America's special relationship, we've been able to bullshit them on that for years. We can do that. Let's hope that Trump's excessive love for England and the monarchy doesn't affect that. And maybe I would ask that this Sir Turner guy, how about you throw him out since he doesn't believe in our special relationship? He thinks it's a thing of the past, something that Churchill did. Gee, that'd be a pretty good thing to do, something Churchill did. By the way, I don't know if his grandfather and his mother loved Churchill. I don't know about him. I was very disappointed in his speech. I thought it was all platitudes. I thought it offered no vision on how the world is going to get beyond this challenge to Western civilization in a country that is in worse shape than we are. Nor did he give us any solace on the fact that this unbelievable attack, the incidents of anti-Semitism will be addressed. There was no mention of anti-Semitism. Again, afraid to mention, it always is. They'll all say very, very nice things. And this royal visit, to me, becomes one more nail in the coffin of the special relationship and does prove that maybe the British ambassador is correct. The nations that we want special relationships are the nations where we don't need to call them and ask them to help us. They volunteer, like Israel. I think we have to start establishing new special relationships. And I think the president would be very wise to look to Eastern Europe for that. And maybe the ambassador is right. There is quite a bit of nostalgia on all sides here about something that used to work that doesn't work anymore. Because plus the country's fallen apart economically. They have nothing to offer us. Right. I mean, we're going to have to support them if we decide to have a special relationship with them. Right. And how long the royal family lasts is another thing, right? Right. So I don't know. I think the king's visit will be described by the media as a big success. The Democrats loved it, so the press will love it. But here are some of the facts that you should know. The British have never liked Republican presidents, says Gerard Baker. Britain's decline from global superpower to minor league straggler shows no sign of stopping. By the way, Baker was born in England. Did you know that? No. When Charles' mother, Queen Elizabeth II, came here to celebrate America's 200th birthday in 1976, I remember it. I was in the Ford administration at the time. Britain was already in free fall. Its economy was ravaged by stagflation, militant trade unions, and fiscal incontinence. Its political leadership was tired, bickering, and old. After a brief economic resurgence under Margaret Thatcher, God bless her, and a brief moment of supposed cultural leadership, cool Britannia under Tony Blair, Britain has sunk back beneath the waves it no longer rules. Its share of global economic output has shrunk from 5% to 3%. Even this mass and accelerating collapse in economic performance, productivity has been stagnant and very low for 15 years. And per capita output, catch this, the per capita output of the great UK is below America's poorest state. Tell me what they have to offer in a special relationship. We see what Israel has to offer in a special relationship, huh? Wiping out Iran so that we can bomb it without getting attacked. They're also a rising economy. The caricature of Britain as a country in the grip of Sharia and under the heel of an authoritarianism that locks up citizens for saying nasty things may be overdone, but maybe not. And he sure should address it. But there's no doubting the cultural and political malaise. Decades of self-loathing multiculturalism, of which he was a big part, mass immigration, declining birth rates, and the elite's systematic degradation of national pride and traditional values has produced a nationwide enemy and rising popular discontent. Lord Nelson's fleet, from more than 100 in 1976, you know what it is today? They have 25 ships. I think the NYPD may have more. The British Army is the smallest it's been since the Napoleonic Wars. Now, it does have a strong technology sector in terms of investment more than creation. And it's the third largest market for investment in artificial intelligence. And it could really build on that if it would gain its confidence back and stop bowing to the Muslim immigrants, many of them illegal, that will not assimilate. But we didn't hear any of that, nor were we given any hope that that would happen. And Charles turned out to be, as Charles looked as a prince, a very much a product of woke Europe and a man who's afraid to stand for anything. So therefore, he's going to keep his views on Iran and on Islam and on the attack on Western civilization quiet, because he's not a leader. I thought at the very beginning of the speech, he gave it away right away. This is a speech to win over the Democrats. They're hoping there's going to be a Democrat president later. He has the highest regard for Congress. About 85% of American people disagree with him. I have the highest regard for Congress. Well, you got about 15% of Americans that agree with you. And it's a great time to have it when they're going out on sexual attack charges left and right. They're all walking out worth 20 or 30 or 40 million, haven't gone in worth nothing. Are you kidding me? Comey's indictment I mentioned in the earlier show, but I do have to mention it in this show, since I do believe Comey should have been prosecuted some time ago for his lying 4 times to the FISA court, which is unpardonable. This I would say is a good charge. It's not as good as that one. I did note in the FBI investigations, they did pick up that this 8647 was being used by the activists that Cole Allen was involved in. In fact, in one of the rallies that preceded the No Kings rally in California, they were carrying signs saying 8647 and translating it in case you had any problem with it, kill Trump. Now, as the head of the FBI, it's going to be really hard for Comey to say he didn't know what it meant, and that wasn't the reason why he took it down. The redistricting battle is going on, and Republicans have a little hope here. The argument on this question before the Virginia Supreme Court for the Democrats went very, very poorly, because it looks like they made a mistake technically and didn't have it voted by 2 sessions of 2 separate and distinct sessions of the legislature. So in order to redistrict and change their constitution to do it, because most constitutions only allow you to redistrict when there's a new census. Well, we're a couple of years away from a new census. Now, you do have some legitimate reasons for doing it. I'll give you a good example. Florida, when the old census was taken in 2020, Florida was a Democratic state. Florida now is 1.5 million more Republicans than Democrats. That's a total change, and they are motivated by what Virginia did. DeSantis is bringing them in. I think he brought them in today to see if they can do a redistricting. Now, I don't know if this will pass, but you may get the strange outcome that this Virginia attempt to go to 10-1 Democrat, when Trump got 46% of the vote there, is going to get knocked down by the court. The first justice that asked asked Virginia questions, basically said, how you can't justify this right off the bat. A justice dismissed the argument about the people of Virginia deciding the referendum and underscored the irregularities of the process in the state led by, well, a really, really left-wing, gone-off-the-wall Democrat. I don't think the judges can miss that either. I mean, she's a loony bin. So most of the experts thought that they're going to lose this attempt to grab 4 seats. Now, good news, solid news. Supreme Court okayed the redistricting in Texas. So this was done to balance Texas. It looks like it ain't going to balance Texas. Now you got California coming up. That, I think, also has not followed the regular procedure. And I don't know, it may get knocked out. Of course, they can go from state. It looks here like the state court's going to knock it out. But in California, you might very well be able to go to the federal court to get it knocked out. So the net result could be 3 to 4 more seats in Texas and 3 to 4 more seats in Florida. And the Democrats, because they're scoundrels and always do it improperly, won't be able to get any. Let's see if that happens. That would be very, very good news. It'd make the president really happy, that's for sure, right? There were 1.5 million more Republicans in Florida than Democrats. Can you believe that? That's a big number, Ted.
That is a lot.
In a state that was Jeb Bush was the first 2-term Republican governor.
Wow. Ever? Or you said
Ever. Now we've had several. Scott was a 2-term Republican governor. DeSantis is a 2-term Republican governor, and the only one who wasn't is the guy who turned into a Democrat, Charlie the Liar Crist.
Why did he do that?
How do you turn into a Democrat?
Why did
Ask Mayor Lindsay and ask Mayor Bloomberg.
They did it.
Because the press likes you more. The press likes you more. So shall we take a break now and get that out of the way? As we should. Ted, how about a little C for me? I need a C. You know what that means? I'll tell you when you come back. I need a C. That's not like a C. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast.
These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO,
You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Welcome back to America's Mayor Live. Let's listen to the King of England, of whom I am an honorary Knight Commander of the Royal Garter. I'm a Knight Commander, honorary.
To uphold democracy. Whatever our differences, whatever disagreements we may have, we stand united in our commitment to uphold democracy, to protect all our people from harm, and to salute the courage of those who daily risk their lives in the service of our countries. Standing here today, it is hard not to feel the weight of history on my shoulder, because the modern relationship between our two nations and our own peoples spans not merely 250 years, but over 4 centuries. It is extraordinary to think that I am the 19th in our line of sovereigns to study with daily attention the affairs of America. So I come here today with the highest respect for the United States Congress, this citadel of democracy created to represent the voice of all Americans.
Well, that was a loser. You know how many Americans agree with him that they have any respect for Congress, much less the highest respect? Let's see. Respect for Congress, only 10%, Gallup poll. Ballotpedia is 12%. Every other, nothing above the teens, and Democrats are more unfavorable than Republicans. So why would he say that? Because he's there appealing to Congress, not Trump. And why do you think the Democrats applauded more? Because it was an essential left-wing Democratic message. And when he says we share the value of democracy in common, then he's going to have to discuss with us all the people that are in jail in England for violating their laws against free speech. I mean, they're being treated like the American colonists were treated. It's outrageous. I mean, they've got January 6th going on all the time. Where was the addressing of Iran? Where was the addressing of the attack on Western civilization? Where was addressing anti-Semitism? These are the things we have in common. Democracy is not just a theory. Democracy plays itself out in the equal protection of people. You're not doing that, or at least we have grave concerns that you are. And your failure to address them, maybe you're going to address them privately with the president, but we kind of got used to a transparent government under Trump. And you're frightened the living daylights out of me, pal. I'll tell you that. And I don't think your trip was a success at all.
Right.
And I wonder how long this monarchy thing is going to last. It's not exactly a thing of the future, you know. So Qatar is getting caught bribing the ICC prosecutor who indicted Bibi Netanyahu for war crimes, but refuses to take a look at Hamas killing and raping babies in front of their parents as a war crime. And he works with Clooney's wife, who's a lightheaded, silly-looking asshole who goes around and dresses all the time and is quite a bit taller than short little Clooney. See what a little pipsqueak he looks like? Clooney, the tough guy, who gave $1 million to the Southern Poverty Law Center just when they were orchestrating the entire phony Charlottesville riot. So there is a great deal of evidence from The Guardian, which is a very, very left-wing newspaper, by the way, that Qatar-linked private intelligence operations, Highgate and Ellicus Intelligence, are hoping to discredit the witness against Mr. Khan. So Mr. Khan is the chief prosecutor, Kareem Khan. Clooney's wife is the number 2 prosecutor. Kareem Khan, however, I think is on suspension because of what? What do you think? What do you think he's on suspension for? Sexual abuse of women.
I guess that's a
Kareem Khan, sexual abuse of women. And so the evidence was strong enough, so they removed him. However, when the allegation is, and there are witnesses to this, that in fact, the Wall Street Journal says they have 2 sources for this, which is the old rule. At the time, yeah, the old rule. Then it became one source, then it became no source, then it became make it up, which is what the Times does now. They just make it up for the better good, so that we all can become communists run by an Islamic leader who'll get rid of Israel, and all Jews can be like the Sulzbergers. They can convert to universalism, I guess. Imagine. So the witness statements, which they've reviewed, the Wall Street Journal, along with audio recordings, also point out that they were targeting 2 Americans. Tom Lynch, the senior ICC official who first reported the woman who was being assaulted by Khan, reported the allegations, and Senator Lindsey Graham. Several ICC officials who became targets have been interviewed by the NCTV, the Dutch counterterror agency, 2 sources confirm. In the recordings, the private investigators discussed their intelligence operations connection to what seems to be Qatar, which they call the client country. In writing, one investigator instructs others to say client to describe, he says, say client to describe Q country. What's the other Q country that would put up the money for this? Come on, Clooney's wife. What's the other Q country? 2 sources familiar with the intelligence operation say that Qatar was the one to put up the money. What Khan wanted before he indicted Bibi and his defense minister was money, because he knew that that something would happen. Or he went and he got the money when the allegations came along. It's a little unclear, but it's or a combination of both. And Qatar gave him a load of money and then hired 2 private investigatory firms to try to destroy the woman's allegations. All that led to was an undergroup of whistleblowers that came along that said that what the ICC was doing and Qatar was much broader than that. They were also going after Americans like Lynch and Lindsey Graham. Graham in particular because of his strong support for taking out the Ayatollah, who you remember Qatar was in very close with.
Yep.
I don't know, this will probably get covered up. I want to issue the warrant, but I'm terrified to do it. They said, if you do it, then we'll look after you. I don't know if that's on tape.
Wow.
It's all in the context of issuing the warrant. That was basically the deal. He was like, I want to issue the warrant, but I'm terrified to do it. And they said, if you do it, then we'll look after you.
Who said that?
Qatar. Qatar bribed him. Then they tried to prove that the woman, whose name they don't give, first they said she had a Jewish grandmother, which means that she would lie about being raped. She didn't. Then they said she had a secret Israeli passport. She didn't. They went and reviewed her entire travel history to determine she apparently never went to Israel. That's what Qatar is doing. We kind of like them. So on the war, nuclear is off the table now. Now, Tehran has sought an extended ceasefire to reopen the strait, but added that negotiations about Iran's nuclear program should be postponed. Now, this is a big switch. Wasn't Iran putting this off based upon they wanted an end to the war? Before, they didn't want a ceasefire. They didn't want a partial agreement. Now they want a partial agreement. And there is a great deal of fear and consternation that the president is going to go along with it. And I don't believe that's true. I do not believe that's true. But I'm going to give you everybody's viewpoint so you're informed. Okay? So his good friends at the Post today warn him, don't fall for this. The nuclear question would remain off the table for now. What chutzpah? The war was started to prevent Iran from acquiring nukes. So why would the United States, which paused its hellstorm to let the Iranians get their minds right, give up a key demand, as though we were the ones on our heels? And believe me, it will be painted that way if the president does that. Now, here's where we have them, and we have them by the BALLS. Very hard to ever conceive this happening, right? Iran can't get the oil out of Iran. So it has to be stored somewhere. This is like what happens I wish Dr. Maria were here, because things like this can happen in the human body when it fails to excrete and you explode, right? If retaining water or you're retaining some kind of toxin so Iran does something like 150 million barrels a day, and they're only doing 56 at best. And that's come down even more now. So the oil that they're taking out of the wells, right? They got to put somewhere. And they're running out of places to put it. What does that mean? If they run out of places to put it, and only 4 ships have gotten through in a month, and the blockade is extraordinarily successful, particularly in creating this problem for them, which is just as good as our destroying their economic system with bombs, because it's going to do it if it works. Iran will get to a point where they have no place to put the oil. They can't get it out. Every storage facility imaginable is taken up. So what do they have to do? Come on. What do they have to do? They have to stop pumping oil. That's catastrophic for an oil well, particularly old oil wells. And they are mostly old oil wells. If this happened in some of the new fracking places, it'd be different. These oil wells could be useless for 50 years after this. Many of them. So even if they were to get a piece, they wouldn't be able to economically recover. And the country will go into complete chaos. And America does no intention of lifting the blockade. And that's why they want the blockade lifted. They They said they'll lift their blockade if we lift our blockade. But this isn't about blockades. This is about there never being nuclear power. Now, I am concerned, and I do think the president's going to stick in there. He did get a column today from Bolton. Now, unlike the Post, which is on his side, the Bolton column is probably going to push him a little bit in the other direction. The Bolton column says, if he comes out of this without regime change in Iran, and with the regime of terror, of Islamic terror still in charge, and maybe even a worse version of it, which all accounts say it is, he's going to be a big loser here. Now, I don't know if that's the best way to try to persuade the president, and certainly from a guy who's a traitor like Bolton. But there is some wisdom to it. The idea of giving them a window to being a nuclear power is whoever is given to you this advice, Mr. President, is not coming from Bolton. It's coming from the guy who loves you, Rudy Giuliani. This is a very bad idea. It smacks too much of the Obama agreement. The big problem with the Obama agreement was it looked like a sneaky way so they could become nuclear. If there's an opening 10 years from now to them being nuclear, or 15 or 20, without a regime change, Bolton may be right. And now your friends are telling you that, not neocon crazy. You said they're never going to be nuclear. Never means never. That got to be like a non-negotiable demand. And by the way, ultimately, they're going to have to agree to your non-negotiable demands. They got no place to go. They can't get their oil out. China has walked away. Russia is trying to help them. Please remember that when you balance things a little more in Ukraine's favor when you deal with Russia. But nobody's going to bail them out. There's no way to bail them out. You got a third of the greatest Navy in the world there. And that Navy is ready to take them out completely anytime you want. For Donald Trump to win and go down in history as a great liberator, which is what Ronald Reagan was and what Franklin Roosevelt were, he's got to free the people of Iran. Freedom is what they need. Freedom. Now, on Friday or Saturday, I don't remember, I saw a video in Paris with MEK of 6 men who have since been killed. And they were in jail. And they were sentenced to death. And I remember them because some of them we had featured on our show. And they were singing. And I coined a phrase that they really like, but I really borrowed this from somewhere. I said, these men are courageous enough to laugh at death. Wow, that's courage. Well, that video was put out yesterday. Somehow they got it out of Iran. And I'm going to see if we can find it. If we can't, I'm going to describe it to you and we'll get it for you for tomorrow. Okay? But before that, I want to see if I can get you in the patriotic spirit here. And maybe make a little money, which after all, as they say in The Godfather, we're not communists. We're not against making money. Did you know that you can build an entire online business with Sticker Mule Pro? It's only $9 a month. And it has everything you need to sell patriotic merchandise. You get a e-commerce store. You get email marketing. You get SMS marketing. You get a customer service platform and whatever other help you need. in having a successful business in selling this wonderful merchandise. Sign up today at stickermule.com/pro. Stickermule.com/pro and use code Rudy for 3 free months so you can figure out if you like it. You will. You will like it. You will. Well, we did spend some time on the Iran offer from Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. But he won't discuss nuclear programs, so kick him out. And stop this 10 years from now, or 5 years from now, or 15 years from now. Never means never. They'll get it. It's like Ronald Reagan. How is the Cold War going to end? We win, they lose. How is the Iran regime that took American hostages, killed American Marines, killed thousands of Americans, and chants every Friday death to America? What's going to happen? We win, they lose, and are gone to the dustbin of history. So they never torture anybody anymore. They never kill men like these 6 men who are patriots, and they were just protesting like you encouraged them to do, Mr. President. And they've all been murdered under the edict of Allah. Now, not all Muslims are like that. Of course they're not. But a lot more Muslims are like that than Christians or Jews are. Right? It's a problem that the king is afraid to address because he's afraid of what will happen back home, because the king is not, this isn't like Richard the Lionheart. Let's face it, his mother was a little worried about him, right? You could see that. You could see the tentativeness in his, I can see it. I can see tentativeness in people who operate on principle and people who operate on the margins. He's operating on the margins. So Russia is now encouraging them. So we should take that into consideration. And you've got to understand that the other thing that they have no flexibility on, they want control or joint control of the Strait of Hormuz. And you said no how, no way. Don't let Steve and Jared and Vance and everybody negotiate that away either. We got to win this, not for politics, for Western civilization. These people are trying to undercut Western civilization. And as long as they are there, they are going to pervert the Muslim religion. I had talks over the weekend with some Muslim scholars who say that the reason the Muslim religion can't reform is the Islamic Republic of Iran, much more than, let's say, Saudi Arabia. Your friend, Mohammed bin Salman, is ready to reform. They're not. Now, Israel has a ceasefire with Lebanon. Since the ceasefire, they've killed 2,521 people. They've wounded 7,804. And they're trying to figure out if anybody is around other than the Secretary General of Hezbollah, Naim Qasim, who nobody will give insurance to. And he is having massive debates with the president of Lebanon, who's now on Israel's side, Joseph Aoun, and they're both trading accusations of treason. Now, in Israel, you should know that a right-wing former Israeli Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett, and the centrist head of the opposition, Yair Lapid, are going to run together to try to defeat Bibi. I don't know when there is election. We'll find out. But this is the first sign that there is some opposition that is developing against Bibi. So the 6 men that I were talking about were all executed over the course of the last 3 weeks. and they were all put into solitary within that period of time, most of them for protesting against the regime, and most of them on the charges of committing crimes against Allah. So these are religious executions that they are going through. They are, as far as I can tell, I'm looking at the picture of them. Do you want to show it, Ted? Do you have that picture? There's the picture of them. But we don't have the video yet. But give that back to me when you get a chance. So I saw several videos of them that were done in the days before they were executed. These men knew they were going to die. And I really would like, we'll get it for tomorrow.
It's the ones that we talked about before?
Two of them we have, Ted, but not the other four. This is, I mean, we're up to about 13 now that they've killed that we know of. These were all hung at the Gazelle Hazar prison. These are not at the main prison. This is a place about 30 miles outside of. They thought they were going to get away with this secretly. And MEK got in, and believe it or not, they videoed from inside the prison, which means they had which means, I keep my mouth shut. So it's a smuggled video. The men are Vahid Baniamarian, Babak Alipur, Abdul Hassan Montazar, Poya Gobadi, Akbar Dinesh Kavar. That's one that we mentioned before. And you'll remember Mohammed Takavi. We also had him. Three of them are in their 30s and three of them are in their 50s or 60s. And what I want you to see when we get this video is the different expressions on their face. And it really was quite, I think, helpful. I hope this was transmitted to the people in Albania. I said they are laughing at death. These men are laughing at death. They want you to know that there's something more important in life than life. And it's called principle. It's called freedom. It's called the dignity of the human being as a child of God. They're all gone now. We can't let this war end and keep the regime who killed them in power. It's the new people that the administration says are the nice people that did it. They're not nice. People that took over are worse, and they're more under the control of the IRGC. All sides tell me that. Even some on their side.
Well, we have the video there.
Good, play it. This is a very, very instructive video. This is about 2 weeks ago, this video. They were all killed since then. Gobadi was executed on March 31st, so it's a bit back.
So here's the video.
One on April 4th.
This is the video that the mayor showed. Referencing where we started.
We'll also get a copy of their manifesto, which they penned. I don't have, trying to get it.
اگر ایران خراب آباد و ویران است اگر جان من و تو جان ایران است اگر این خاک زیر سایه مرگ است اگر داغ گلول سهم گلبرگ است الا برخیز و چون تندر مسلح کن سلاحت را به پاگردان رزماور تو بشکن سد راحت را الا برخیز و چون تندر مسلح کن سلاحت را به پاگردان رزماور تو بشکن سد راحت را ایران
was hung between the time of that song and now. And the video I'm thinking of is even more harrowing than that. There obviously there were several more that were videoed out. We'll get them all for you. They're hard to get because because they have to be very, very careful when they put these out, that by the mere fact that they're put out, they're not giving out sources and methods. I know when you hear CIA say that, say, oh, that's a big excuse. That isn't a big excuse. I mean, sometimes it is. But having done this work, I can tell you, you make a mistake here, you get people killed. And these people that are running Iran are stone cold killers, maniacal killers. Also, several of them were brutally tortured before they were murdered, based on the advice that Muhammad gave them from Allah. It is better to torture them. But if you have to kill them quickly because we're in battle, that's okay. Allah won't get mad. But if you can torture them and punish them, that's even better. This is a savage, brutal religion in its creation. For it to live with the modern world, the things that most Muslims don't believe about their religion, but it's true, are things they have to reject from the religion, if that makes any sense. So they'll say, no, Muhammad wanted peace. Well, he didn't. He was a mass murderer, and he was a pedophile. And he was a mass murderer and torturer because he couldn't spread his religion, which made no sense to the Arabs, the Jews, and the Christians. It makes no sense to me either. It only makes sense if you read out the brutal, largely called the Mecca, the Mecca Muhammad, right? After he was tossed out. Now, these men are the victims of Islamic literal commands. One among hundreds of millions that have been killed that way over the centuries, as we were on September 11. And that's what woke me up to it. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure it doesn't happen again. But for that, you got to open your eyes. Unlike the king, the head of the Anglican Church, which is, by the way, disappearing. The king's not going to have a church anymore. They're all leaving the church or becoming Catholics because they want to be traditional Catholics. But the Pope wants to go left too. Whew. Like they want the Latin Mass. So Walter Russell Mead, who we consult often and see what he has to say. Sometimes we like it, sometimes we don't. He's got a hopeful message. He says it's a mistake to count Trump out. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, got to be a real loser, but not as big a loser as Keir Starmer, but in that category, warned that this is a superpower suicide. We're getting defeated. We've still lost 13 people. They've lost 5,000. They don't have an economy anymore. Our economy is booming. Fareed Zakaria, who, come on, he's still on? I thought they got rid of him years ago. Right. He stopped making sense before this even all started. Fareed Zakaria wonders whether the damage can ever be repaired. And he doesn't mean to Iran. Trump is in a trap. He brought the most radical elements of the IRGC to power. Iran's stranglehold on the Strait of Hormuz can't be broken. Well, first of all, they are right. He did bring the most vicious to power. They're wrong that the stranglehold on Hormuz has been broken, and they're choking on it. The oil is backing up, and if it keeps backing up, the wells are going to get destroyed. And Trump says 2 days away. The experts say 2 to 3 weeks away, with every day some destruction. But within 3 weeks or 2 weeks, it'll be catastrophic. They say that Putin is making a fortune on oil and that Iran has him over a barrel, and he must bribe or beg the Iranians to give him a quick exit from an unwinnable war. Now, here is Mr. Mead's view. Time will tell, but it would be a mistake for investors and decision makers to assume that Mr. Trump is desperately looking for the exits. Critics like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens appear to be spiraling into irrelevance as Mr. Trump maintains his hold on the affections of his base. They still support him 90%. Tucker's got like 5%. He's going to lose, just like he lost to Fox, he's going to lose to Trump. Remember when Fox got rid of him, they said that Fox was going to go under? Fox is making more money without him than with him. Tucker's ego is way out of line with who and what he is. A crushing blockade of Iran that Tehran seems unable to counter. We're not worried about our oil being backed up. In fact, if Russia is making a bonanza on oil, we're making 3 times that. We're making a fortune on oil. Financial markets have stabilized. They're setting records. They've even strengthened. As he points out, Russia may be reaping profits, but American energy companies are enjoying a greater and likely longer-lasting boom. In any event, 2026 has been a disastrous year for the Kremlin. Its weapons fizzled against Israeli and U.S. missiles. So they're the ones who gave the weapons to the Iran that is now destroyed. Kind of doesn't augur too well for them if they should go up against us. And look at the difficulties they have with Ukraine. Its forces are stalemated in Ukraine. Its Africa Corps has sustained a humiliating setback in Mali and is retreating. And China is reevaluating everything because they've seen what's happened in Ukraine and they've seen what America can do. You think they can do that? You think they could pull Maduro out like this? Like, oh, there's Maduro. Oh, we got Maduro. You know what that means? There's Xi Jinping and his wife. Hello, Xi. Hey, Putin, get off that girl. We got you too. There you are, Putin. You don't think they think that? Of course they do. Maniacal, pathological, homicidal killers like Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin are paranoid. Yep. Putin hid during COVID. Xi Jinping hid during COVID. He was hiding until a year ago. And the minute this happened to Maduro, they all reevaluated their security. So we're going to keep track of the oil backing up because they say it might not be just a one-day thing. They might start losing wells a few at a time, and then it'll be catastrophic. The Iranians have to shut down oil and gas production due to a lack of storage capacity. And there will be permanent damage to the productivity of the oil wells as soon as that's done, and the damage will be irreversible. Who has who in a corner? Why they're so anti-American, I don't know. But they have no room for their oil, and we keep depriving them of room. So this is a problem, irrespective of whether we bomb them, of whether we bomb them or not. And we got a lot of people in Iran counting on us. They really believe we'd be there for them. when they stood up, like those 6 men who were singing. I'll get you the rest of them tomorrow, or most of them. Whatever I shouldn't make that promise. What I should say is I'll get you the ones that are safe to release. And when they're safe to release, we'll put them out to you. But I have to tell you, there are a lot more than that I saw. And they break your heart. They break your heart because we're so close to accomplishing it. And the vagaries of international politics. Well, God bless them, huh? This is John Bolton's article. He begins and he ends with the right point. It requires regime change. I've been in favor of regime change since the day the regime got there. I don't know what's so hard about regime change. When somebody yells and screams every week, they're going to come and kill me and my children and my family and my fellow citizens. I figure after they do that for 2 or 3 years and they've taken hostages and kill Marines and kill citizens, it's time to get rid of them. And I do believe with St. Augustine and with St. Thomas Aquinas and with the 1400-year teaching of the Catholic Church that there is a just war to save the lives of the innocent. Wouldn't it have been just to save the lives of those men who were singing rather than let them go to death the way possibly the Pope did with the Jews? Come on. And popes aren't always right, are they? You know, the story of Pope Pius XII is extraordinarily complex. He both sacrificed Jews and saved them. But he was a politician. He was a politician.
Right.
So he was a priest and a good man, and he valued human life, and where he could save Jews, he did. But where the interest of his church came, he put that first over human life. So he let the Orthodox take the hit. The Nazi regime targeted the Orthodox Christians as much as they did the Jews. I know this because of my prosecutions and research for the 2 Nazis that I sent off to their reward. The 2 commandants that I prosecuted were just as interested in killing Orthodox as they were Jews. They got as much credit. And why? Because Hitler and the people around Hitler felt that the Orthodox carried the nationality more than the Roman Catholics. After all, the Roman Catholics, whether it's true or not, they would see as having a dual loyalty, Polish, Rome. Or don't use Poland. Poland's not a good example because they don't have an Orthodox church. Let's say Ukraine. There are Roman Catholics in Ukraine, about 10, 12, 15%. And they're Orthodox in Ukraine. So if they're going to choose who to kill in Ukraine, they're going to kill the Orthodox before the Roman Catholics, because the Roman Catholics, at least to listen to the Pope, somebody else. And the aim of the Nazi movement, like the communist movement, because they're both socialist movements, is to destroy original culture and nationality and replace it with the Third Reich, or replace it with Karl Marx's communism. That's why you have all the destruction of statues. When you see it and you think it's just a passing, it's part of what Marx taught them to do. Remove people's culture, remove their parents, remove their God, remove all of the things that stabilize them in life, make them desperate creatures of us, so we can tell them who and what they should be. And the more immoral they are, the more we can manipulate them. That's what we're facing. And the fact that the King of England, which was one of the great sources of defense of Western civilization, wasn't able to say a word about that today, shows you what he's made of or not made of. Sorry. Men are men. They can be kings. They're either men or they aren't men. like tough, strong, principled men who are entitled to be considered heroes. He's not one of them. He's a go along, get along lefty. A big supporter of totally ridiculous a scam of climate change. If he were correct, we wouldn't even be here now. So there's a study that was done that shows that anti-government violence, has always been greater among right wing than left wing until this year. Now, that seems strange to you, Ted? Suppose I told you. Suppose I told you that in 2020, the right wing had a lot more violence than the left wing, even though they had 175 riots.
I don't buy that.
Okay, you know why? They didn't count the riots.
Yeah, and at the time under Biden, I'm guessing.
No, they leave out.
Oh, this is 2020.
Yeah.
So we were.
So they go back. They go back to 1995,
leaving out riots,
and they show that in almost every year since 1995, there are more right wing riots that target the government than there are left wing riots.
Riots?
Well, I think they call it that. Like attacks.
Attacks. Okay. So they claim that right wing attacks that target the government,
strikes and attacks against the government. But then they get to define it.
Yeah. Okay.
So for example, when they were trying to take down the state capital of Minnesota, that wasn't a strike against the government. It wasn't the federal government.
Oh, so all the
220 of those go
federal government.
Now, if you change the 220, they'd have about 4 times more in 2020 than we did.
Of course, they're cherry picking federal government. They know conservatives tend to be right wing and anti-federal.
Even with all that, the last 2 years they've had more riots.
Yeah, that's such BS because they're really focusing.
Yeah, but
on federal.
This is completely
bullshit.
Yeah.
Or BS.
Yeah, this is what they do to brainwash us.
Right.
Now, we're gonna end with this, and I want you to pay a little attention to it, please. And that's sort of condescending, but I just want to say that. Yeah. I want to explain to you, at least the best I can do in figuring out how this guy went about planning this to kill Trump and his administration. Just he was planning mass murder. How did it happen that he did that? There's no doubt how it happened. It's very easy, really. He gives it away in the manifesto. You just read it carefully. He has been listening to the prevailing media message in this country for the last 5 or 6 years. And he bought it because he probably doesn't have the strength of character or mind to think for himself. Now, many people don't. And there probably is also a little something wrong with him. Dr. Alpert uses this in his column, in which he talks about he's a psychotherapist practicing in New York and Washington. And he's the author of Therapy Nation that's coming out in May. So we'll have to get that. Maybe we'll get him on the show. So for example, he points out, to make it simple, the program that was done by Nadja Spiegelman, who's an editor of the New York Times. She recently coined a phrase, micro-looting, to describe the acts of stealing from big corporations, such as shoplifting from Whole Foods, and feeling justified in doing that. Oh, they got a lot of money. You don't have any money. You can steal from them. She hosted the podcast with this maniac, Hassan Piker.
Yep.
And he says, quote, he's pro-stealing from big companies because they steal quite a bit more from their own workers. and because self-checkout systems anticipate a certain amount of theft. The logic is familiar, says the doctor. Large companies can absorb the loss. The system is unfair. The harm is negligible. The behavior recedes. The explanation takes over. I hear a version of this logic often in my therapy practice. A patient sits across from me and describes taking something that wasn't his. There's a brief pause when I feel the recognition. He knows he crossed the line. Then the explanation comes in fast and practiced. The company is exploitative. The system is rigged. It evens things out. By the time he's done, the recognition is gone. He doesn't face the guilt, but explains it away, reshapes it into something easier to live with and more dangerous because it feels like clarity. This isn't about theft. It's about how easily grievance, remember this phrase, how easily grievance turns into permission. How feeling wrong starts to look like a reason to do wrong. He's engaged in the ancient psychological practice, which is a horrible weakness of human beings, of rationalizing, rationalization. And it's much more consequential than it's looked. Once frustration is aimed at a broad target, it starts to act like moral credit. Something was taken from me, so taking something back is a correction. I deserve it. The Times gave Mr. Piker a forum to explain away the assassination of an insurance executive. So now we go from theft to the most serious crime possible among us humans, the taking of human life, because it's irreversible. You can't pay the company back. You can't bring the life back. You can't give the mom her son anymore. The Times gave Mr. Piker a forum to explain away the assassination of an insurance executive. Frederick Engels, the inventor, along with Marx, of atheistic, horrific communism. Frederick Engels wrote about the concept of social murder. And Brian Thompson, as the United Healthcare CEO, was engaging in a tremendous amount of social murder. The systematized form of violence, the structural violence of poverty, the for-profit paywall system of healthcare in this country, and the consequences that are tremendous amounts of pain, tremendous amounts of violence, tremendous amounts of death. What matters is how quickly this spreads. When a behavior gets explained often enough, it stops feeling like an exception. It starts to feel like something you can choose. It happens gradually, one justification at a time, until a line that once felt obvious, like you can't kill, goes away. And as it's repeating, it starts to feel normal. What once sounded like a stretch no longer does. What makes this powerful is that it doesn't feel like self-deception. It feels like clarity, like dropping rules that no longer seem to make sense. Repeated moral labeling plays a role here too. When people are described as fundamentally dangerous or illegitimate, it changes how actions against them are seen. Think about this. Please think about this. This is what they do to Trump. Rapist, murderer, hates children, thief, scoundrel, despot. It changes how actions against them are seen. For most people, that language remains mere language. But for someone unstable, hearing it often enough can lower the psychological barrier to action. It can begin to feel less like a choice and more like a moral obligation. I have to kill him. Language plays a role in more everyday ways as well. Terms like micro-looting soften the act of making something plainly wrong feel qualified and easier to defend. But the harm doesn't disappear. It's exactly the same harm. Social murder can justify actual murder. What is social murder? Murder is murder is murder is murder. And you don't have the right to do it, with very narrow exceptions. That's what created this monster. And then the words were given to him. The very words were given to him by the Democrats, rapist. He was acquitted of rape. And the charge about sexual harassment was a joke from a woman that couldn't even give a date or a time, so that she would avoid being proven to be wrong, because he would have been in New York at that day or time. Half the date she would have given would have been wrong, and she was shrewd enough and conniving enough and evil enough with her lawyer to figure that out. That's not impossible. The New York legal system is an abomination.
Yes.
It's a piece of crap for 170 years. So he got those words from AOC, from Ilhan Omar, from Tlaib, from Jeffries, from Schumer. Oh, let's go get Kavanaugh. Let's go get Kavanaugh.
Get that one. Yeah.
Let's go get Kavanaugh. And then they did. They tried to kill him. They tried to kill Kavanaugh. No accountability.
Yeah, we saw
for traitor Chuck, the traitor to the Jewish people. He should go down in the books of history as the traitor to the Jewish people, like Judas was the traitor to Jesus. You have that?
Looking for it now, yeah. Was it Schumer that said it? Yeah.
So
here's Schumer. Let's see if this might be somebody else, but let's get this one. This is a good one.
I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, and they're taking away fundamental rights. I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
What the hell does that mean?
You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions. And they're taking...
Wow, what does he mean by that? You won't know what hits you if you go forward. That sounds like a bullet.
A few weeks later, a man showed up at Kavanaugh's house trying to kill him.
Right. These Democrats.
You'll never convince me there wasn't a connection between the two things.
Right.
Just like you'll never convince me that this guy was absolutely picture perfect as a creation of the evil Democrats, many of whom really would like to see Trump dead. It's not, you can see it in their eyes. You can hear it. Sometimes they even go over the line. Many of them would rather see him dead than be president, because they have maybe convinced themselves it's better for the country. Better for the country, then they have to examine why, so they can steal more. Because a large percentage of those people, the Democrats, are lifetime thieves like Joe Biden was. And they have no morality left. It doesn't even exist. What's right? What's wrong? How do I get more money for the next election? How do I get more money that I can put it away? How can I be as rich as other people? Why are they richer than me? I thought for a few minutes on Saturday, this might change it. I wish, I pray I could tell you that. I hear people saying it. I hope they're right and I'm wrong. I think the president believes it. I don't think it's going to change us. I think the evil in their souls is so great, it can take a lot more than that. I'm not sure I know what it is, but we got to stick on the right road. Right. Look at the Southern Poverty Law Center. Ooh. What an abomination that is. We'll go into more detail on that too. More. Yeah.
I want to dig into the Michigan angle.
What an abomination that is.
Right.
Well, Ted, anything else you'd like to let them know?
Well, tomorrow, look, we had the, we got to talk more about Iran, but we can do that tomorrow. What's going on there? And we're following the redistricting and some primaries coming up. Of course, Texas and some other state primaries that people are watching. So we'll follow those. As we get to May, a lot of state primaries are starting to come up.
Okay.
And we'll be back tomorrow. And
well, let's see.
We'll
we'll see what's happening in Iran. I just hope it doesn't go the wrong way.
Right.
And the wrong way is letting this regime stay in power.
Right. You're spot on about that.
The world is entitled to an Iran that doesn't act as a motivator for extremist Muslim depredations.
Right.
Pray for the people of Iran. They're good people. Most of them agree with us. Most of them want to be liberated. Most of them are worried that they're going to be pushed aside in the more important concerns of international politics. Actually, they're not more important concerns. They're less important. The most important concerns of politics is right and wrong. That's how you straighten it out. You do what's right and you don't do what's wrong. Morally. Pray for the people of Iran. Pray for the people of Israel who probably taught us that originally. Pray for the people of Ukraine. Pray for those who bear this hatred. Is there a way, God, you can enter their hearts and let them see what they're doing to this beautiful country? I know you make a struggle with these things because we're human. We don't know the whole plan. But we need help. I need help in understanding them better. Well, we're going to pray to you to help us, and particularly to help our great president, who we almost, well, I don't say this time almost, but who we could have lost on Saturday, as well as his whole administration. One bomb. They were open to it. So pray for us. Please, we'll pray to you for your help and put your hands on them like you did. Like you did in Butler, like you did the golf course, like you did Saturday night. And we'll be back tomorrow at 7 o'clock on Lindell, 8 o'clock here on America's Mayor Live. Ted? God bless America!
America.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to